How much can you really tell about an administration's priorities from just 1 week? Well, as it turns out, a whole lot. We're going to take a look at a recent string of White House announcements on everything from crime to AI to see the bigger picture and what it all tells us.
And yeah, the White House was definitely busy. We saw actions on domestic security, international diplomacy, industrial regulation, and even the future of science. Now, at first glance, these might seem like totally separate, unrelated issues, but we're going to break them down and see how they might actually connect to form a larger strategy.
Okay, so first up, security. The administration tackled this on a few different fronts, from crime on American streets all the way to counterterrorism and diplomatic talks overseas. Let's see how it all connects.
Wow, just listen to that opening line. This is from a White House article about a violent attack in Chicago. The language is, well, it's incredibly strong and direct. The strategy here seems pretty clear. Take this local incident and frame it not as just an isolated crime, but as a direct result, a failure of specific state and city-level policies. And their whole argument really hinges on this one number, 72. The White House article claims that was the number of prior arrests for the alleged attacker. This single statistic is being used to make a much bigger point about repeat offenders and what they describe as a justice system that's failing to protect people. And here is the crucial link in their narrative. The article points the finger directly at the no-cash bail law in Illinois for the suspect even being free. This basically positions the administration's agenda as the federal answer to local policies that they strongly disagree with.
All right, shifting gears from domestic to international security, the week also brought a new executive order. Now, to really get what it's about, we need to understand this definition. A foreign terrorist organization, or FTO, designation is a pretty serious tool the State Department uses to target and sanction foreign groups.
And this timeline shows you exactly what that executive order does. It kicks off a formal process to consider labeling specific chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood as FTOs. And notice the deadlines. They are really clear and really fast. This is meant to move quickly.
And finally, the security theme for the week wraps up on a diplomatic note. A joint statement came out about peace talks, reporting meaningful progress and that a new framework was being drafted. So think about that. In just 1 week, the administration's security focus went from city streets to international terrorism to the negotiating table.
All right, let's pivot from national security over to the economy. The administration's agenda this week really honed in on two things, giving some relief to a major American industry and, at the same time, making the case that you, the consumer, are starting to see some savings.
So, the first big economic move was a proclamation aimed at EPA rules for coke ovens, which are absolutely essential for making steel. The way the administration's fact sheet frames it is pretty simple. They argue a previous rule is basically impossible to follow, and it's threatening the whole industry. Their solution? A 2-year break from the regulation.
And this quote right here, this is the core of their justification. By framing this as vital for military readiness, they're taking a debate about environmental regulations in the steel industry and elevating it to a matter of national security. It's a really powerful way to frame the argument.
So, it wasn't just about big industry. The White House also wanted to talk about the family budget. They put out an article that gathered up various reports to argue that their policies are actually delivering some financial relief at home, and they pointed specifically to savings around the Thanksgiving holiday.
Take a look at this chart. It shows you one of their main examples. They cited a Farm Bureau survey, highlighting that a Thanksgiving dinner for 10 people in Louisiana costs over $10 less than the national average. This kind of specific data point is used to suggest a much broader trend of positive economic relief.
And it wasn't just food costs. The article also pointed to falling gas prices, pulling local news reports from all over the country. You've got a huge 38-cent drop in Akron, Ohio, prices in Denver falling way below the national average. They used these examples to build a case for widespread relief at the pump, right before a major travel holiday.
And for our final theme, the administration shifts its gaze from today's economy to the science of tomorrow. The week's biggest announcement, really, was a major new initiative, one that's designed to use artificial intelligence to completely revolutionize American research.
I mean, listen to how they introduced this Genesis mission. They are explicitly comparing it to the Manhattan Project. That's not a casual comparison. The administration is signaling just how massive and important it believes this initiative is for using AI to create huge scientific breakthroughs.
So how are they going to do it? The plan is actually pretty straightforward, broken down into 3 big steps.
First, bring together America's national labs and supercomputers. Second, build one powerful, integrated AI platform. And third, point that platform at some of the world's most complex scientific problems and see what it can solve.
So you might be wondering, what challenges is it going to tackle first? Well, the executive order lists these specific priority areas. And it's probably no coincidence that these are all fields that are critical to national security and economic competitiveness. Things like fusion energy and semiconductors, where there's a fierce global race for leadership.
So when you boil it all down, the mission has two core goals. First, to make sure America stays in the lead in the global AI race. And second, to get more bang for our buck from federally funded research, basically getting more scientific breakthroughs for every taxpayer dollar we spend. So let's pull it all together. In just 1 week, the White House agenda jumped from a tough-on-crime message and counterterrorism actions to regulatory relief for heavy industry, claims of consumer savings, and a huge new mission to accelerate the future of science itself.
So you can really see the balancing act here. On one hand, tackling today's problems with a tough stance on crime and industry regulation, and on the other, making a massive bet on AI to solve the problems of tomorrow. The big question, of course, is whether this two-pronged strategy, addressing the present while building the future, can actually succeed on both fronts. What do you think comes next?